Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today we are going to be painting the bite of the great white. We're going to be painting a really fun shark in acrylic. I'm going to be explaining this step by step, every color mix, every technique, every tool, breaking it down so you can follow along at home. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
You're going to hear John, but not see John if this is like your very first time here. And John reads community comments. John points the cameras at what I'm painting, and if we need a zoom, he does a zoom and make sure you can see every color mix, every tool, every technique. Now, we've been doing this for a number of years, and I think I have definitely learned a lot about teaching online. So if you're looking for a class to do online, this is a great class to try, and here's why. Besides breaking down the explanations and not assuming that you know anything and just going at that level, there also are timestamps that are created for these. So each chapter, each step is broken down into a time so you can find your spot again. And those steps help you organize in your head how far you've got to go for a certain leg. Because while this is going to take me about an hour, it might take you 4 or 5 or 6. Your time painting doesn't need to be my time painting. You just enjoy yourself. That's your goal. Your two goals are keep it fun and finish the project. Right. My goal is to give you all that information so that when you're keeping it fun and finishing the project, if you have to pause, if you have to rewind, if you have to go over something again, which is the beauty of video, you can do that. And you know your pace is the correct pace for you. I feel like that's a pretty good deal between us. I will do my best job teaching and you do your best job painting along and having a good time. And between the two of us, we're going to have a kind of art party here, aren't we?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Now, it's early in the day for me, so my art party is going to be coffee. Because
we've got the coffee.
It would be a little early for it to be anything else. But if it is for you, I'm not here to judge. I really am not. I'm going to take a sip and we're going to go over the materials. Now, I have an 8x8 surface here, and I am going to show you how to sketch the shark on. But guess what? You don't want to draw? I have a free traceable for that. While I do love having patrons, and I highly encourage anyone to support our channel and the work that we do, the traceables are free, and you don't have to be a patron to have access to those traceables. So, patron if you feel like it, but no, you don't have to get the... We keep the core resources for the students free. That way, it's up to you. You do what you want to do. All right, that's the 8x8 surface. Traceables on the website. It is a pin to comment here in the live chat. And you can download and transfer it on or follow along with me. 8x8, I have the colors. This is Mars Black right here in this corner. This is Dioxazine Purple. This is Cad Red Medium. This is Quinacridone Magenta called Quinacridone Fuchsia Deep, I think, in the Senelli. Actually, I have a tube right here. They call it Fuchsia Quinacridone because they're French and they have to do it in a different order than I do. Cad Yellow Medium. It's the same color. Quinacridone Magenta and the Quinacridone, the Fuchsia Quinacridone, same color. Cad Yellow Medium, Burnt Sienna, Phthalo Green, Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Blue, Titanium White in the center. And we don't have to use any zinc or weird mediums for this one, I don't believe. Shall we throw up our first step?
All right.
John? Oh, I'm so, like I did. If you like this shark painting and if you're like, oh, I wish there were more, guess what? We did a whole shark week one time. And so there's at least 7, 8 more shark paintings for you guys.
Yep.
Now I'm going to come up here in my upper right, but down a little bit to leave room for the nose. I'm going to make a little mark, right? And that's going to be his little nose. And then I'm going to make a little sketchy line. I'm using paint, guys, but you can use chalk or the traceable. I come to about, I think, just almost to the middle spot, and there's a bit of a bend in and then an arc out. Now understand, I draw these in the first time and then make my little design, and then I come here and I do this again with you guys live. I'm not a Xerox machine. I may draw things the same and yet slightly different every time I do it. And by the way, that goes for you too who are following along at home. Your goal is not to make an exact photocopy of what mine is. Your goal is to just come as close to what I have as you possibly can. That's it. And then also be okay with the fact that you are not a machine and you will not be making a perfect copy. I'm going to bring a little line in here. It's got a little corner here from the bottom. And then I'm going to come right up here and make a little sort of interior line just to help me know where that is. Now, the little almost kind of belly is going to come off there. Probably swing right back around here. I'm going to bring another little line in. I tend to take drawings in stages. I look at very small areas of where I am. And then, I'm going to come back up here, I think, to finish off my fin, just to get that right. So I don't have a bump out here, but where I'm going to have an eye is going to be relational to the fin. So I'm going to put my fin back in now. It's going to be kind of upward towards that corner. And a little bit thinned and foreshortened. So I can be pretty cautious even though I'm doing this in paint. But that lets me know kind of where my eye is going to be, right? So if I'm going to have an eye right here, maybe even a little lower. And so that's the other reason sometimes it's nice to sketch in chalk, is that when you go to do that, actually I eyeballed that in pretty good, didn't I? On the far side, that's wild of me.
Now there's a, that's
it's got a little bump out here. And again, this is an easy beginner piece because we provide things like traceables. Like as a drawing, as a freehand drawing, this one takes a little thought, but if you're using the traceable, it does not take the same amount of thought that it would. And so you're kind of okay here. So I'm going to bring this little fin here and maybe move this one up a little bit.
So do you remember in The Fifth Element, the speech Zorg gave about how many stones there were?
Not one, not two, but three. Not one, not two, but three stones. Not one, but two, but three stones. Five?
5 stones.
Was it 5 stones?
5 stones.
So it's not one, not two, not three, not four, but
five. But 5 stones.
5 stones.
So I got that speech about shark gills.
Did you just now?
No, in the past.
Oh, not one, not two, but 5.
There are 5.
There are 5 shark gills. There's not one, not two, not 3, but 5 shark gills.
Not 3, not 4, but 5.
But 5.
You couldn't put 6 or 7.
We are making fun of not Southern people, but I lived in the South long enough. I probably could. Bless your heart. But
Zorg, a character from.
But Zorg, a character who had a Southern accent. He was a business corporation.
5 stones.
5 stones.
So
he was right though. Like for what he was doing, man, he needed 5. Though I don't get these smart beings making these evil deals, except that in real life I see smart beings making evil deals all the time. Right? Oh. Where I'm like, these people are literally going to wait climate change out to the very last minute. Well, you know what I mean?
Setting aside Zorg as an existential crisis about our current...
Well, he's an existential crisis for all of us, isn't he?
As a current representation of our world. We'll just put that aside and say 5 stones. Also, 5 gills. It's important. They don't mind 6 or 7, but 8, too many. 4, too few.
4 is too few.
Gotta have 5.
Oh, I meant use too much paint there. That's okay. I can paint that out.
That's not universally true. Like, cause I'm sure there's like little edge case species, but you draw a great white with 3 gills, and somebody's gonna be mentioning something.
I just need to generally know where these are. I'll probably be moving them around a bit, and I may kind of sleek that up, and even sleek that nose up. Does that make sense? There we go. I know. When it's just in lines, he looks crazy. When he's just in lines, he's like, ah!
He's happy.
Yeah, it's a fun one to do. There's some playfulness about it that is super joyful. Now let's dry it all.
Okay. Because
we just want to know where he is and where our background is. So you will have either used at this stage the traceable. And then you may want to go ahead and go over those lines very lightly with some paint, dry it so that they're very firm and permanently there for you.
Yes.
Right? Because sometimes the reason we like traceables because it erases or it moves or it goes away very easily. So you may want to paint that down. Then we're going to dry everything together. Now, here's the thing. Whether you're watching live or you're watching on the replay, you want to make sure that if you're drying at home, your drying time and my drying time might be different. So definitely pause me and then get me to where I'm done drying, and then we'll all start together again.
To go. Well, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. It's so nice to see you on Shark Day, which harkens back to Shark Week, which harkens back to don't swim in the ocean, because there's sharks out there that will eat you. Just my personal opinion, based on a lot of Shark Week. And they'll tell you, but the sharks, they're so nice. And then they eat the cage, and they're like, well, we didn't expect that. And they were like, well, the shark didn't expect you to come dangle yourself in the water after it. It's a fair thing. So, I don't know. Sharks, you can tell. I have a thing with them.
You do. I think I made him fat.
He's a
big boy. He's a big boy.
He's a seal snacking shark.
I'm going to use an angle brush. This is a 3/4 inch Catalyst Princeton angle brush. And I'll start with the blues, I think. I'll start with a little bit of my phthalo blue and my ultramarine blue and a little bit of white. And see how it's sort of loosely mixed on my brush? I'm going to make little rough marks. Maybe a little more ultramarine blue on that one. Making rough marks all around here. Now I'll paint what is the primary color in this rough way first, and then come back with another layer. And you can go ahead and paint up on your don't want to go much further down than that, and I'll bring this up over here. So I'll come around, I'm going to get into some purple and some burgundy. Purple and some quinacridone together, right? So we're going to do some of that here. You can bring it right in. And remember, we can layer, so a lot of stuff is about getting the texture or the technique. And I'm actually going to maybe trim my little fin down a bit because I got a little, what? Now down here, I'm going to take a little bit of black and all phthalo blue. And we're going to make it this dark down here. And come back around here and have it be pretty dark. And again, this is just that rough first patch of things. Right, and can trim into my drawing here if I feel like I need to. Get back into, let's rinse out actually. I think this is a good transition to rinse out and then come get a little purple and cad red together. Not the colors you might have expected. I might go a little more purple, but it gives us a start over here. Now it looks like I gotta fill into the fin. So I'm getting that general, what you're going for is the general kind of main color, and then we come in and we start putting in these painterly details as we paint loosely. But you want to give yourself sort of an anchor so that you can paint loosely. All right, now I'm going to rinse this, not rinse this, dry this.
All right.
Don't rinse it. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Dry it.
Dry. You can rinse your brush.
Do you know that sharks' teeth are growing forever and ever and ever, and they just fall out all over the ocean?
Yes.
Yes, I think
that's
so
super
cool.
good. That's why we have so many of them. Is because, because shark teeth are hard because, they have to bite things. And since they bite things a lot, as sharks do, again, going back to why I'm not a fan of going into the water where the sharks are at, is because they have so many of these teeth, which, as she said, keep growing and falling out of their little heads right down onto the sand, where they are left for millions and millions of years until these semi-aquatic apes collect them as hobbies.
As hobbies. All right, back to our crazy brush.
What's the next step?
Yep. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my purple and maybe my ultramarine blue together and some white. I don't mind if it's a little streaky. And bring in a little purple there. Pick up a little of my burgundy. Might get a little cad red mixed into that. And I'm going to bring my brush. I'm using my brush at angles and I'm creating these rough spaces. I don't want to use a lot of water. It's not a dry brush, but it's also not about, you know, getting super blends on the canvas.
Now on a scale of
yeah?
I was going to say, on a scale of 1 to 3, how many splashes would this be?
I think this is going to be in the 1 to 2 splash range, and I do think 1. But you guys always let me know at the end. Because I let everybody, you know, as you well know, I'm going to grab a little red.
So on a level 1 to 3, it'd be like a 1. Now, if you're a beginner, this is pretty safe.
Yeah. I'm going to just, what I do, how I get a little bit of light paint on there is I go over the top and I just touch it lightly. I'm going to rinse out because I like to keep my brush a little bit clean as I'm working. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a little yellow and a smidge of red. Some white. I'm going to come here and make little rough brush strokes right there. And remember, you can paint your shark over, so it's okay if some of your stuff gets in there. I'm going to add a little bright yellow there. And
it's not like punny shark related, real one. What does Sennelier call their ultramarine blue? Does it have a
dark ultramarine blue?
Dark ultramarine blue. Oh, what number is that? Oh, tilt it just a little.
It is 314.
314.
That's good for us to know.
Yeah,
314.
It's okay.
314 dark ultramarine blue.
I think you could probably find that on our store.
You can find that on our store.
Gratuitously plug that we now have an e-commerce store. Yay! You can buy all these materials if you can't find them at your local supply shop.
I am just lightly touching it in. Now, how I'm not getting a muddy gray, and you can see I didn't even pick up any purple on my brush, is I kind of put my brush parallel to the canvas, and I very gently, see how I just touch it, and it leaves a little mark? It's a bit like working a palette knife without the palette knife. No more yellow, smidge of red. Smidge of red and yellow. Kind of getting kind of more of a, see how that's just more of an orange? And I'll go over my shark a bit because I can paint him back into the area. And I might be even more playful. You don't know. Every time you do this, you may have more to bring to the table. And bring a little bit of that off there. Now I take a little bit of quinacridone and cad red together. I love this mix of them together. You can see that's just a deeper red. And then come here and like, I'm going to just take the corner of my brush and kind of wiggle in. And you can see how if you wiggle it just a little bit. Sorry. Oh, I put an extra mark there, but it just wanted it. So that's what's happening. Sometimes I'll go and I'm like, more paint this time. No, less of that. More of that. And then as you go, you just keep enjoying the process. And then rinse out a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and take a little of my phthalo blue and phthalo green. I'm going to come here and you'll notice that I'm not hiding brush strokes. I'm building brush strokes in like almost like underwater basket weaving. That's what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm going to come around the nose. I'll push the nose back up like I talked about, but right now I want to weave in an interesting color combo. It's okay where some colors might mix on the canvas. You even want that. Look, I just grabbed some of that and some purple, and you can see how it's blending on the canvas. Look at that mix right there. See that? That's what that looks like on my brush. I've loaded up. You can see in the streaks that there's a little purple. There's little bits of color there. I'm going to come here. I'm going to bring my brush to the edge and pull it out. So we're usually thinking of ways that we paint with a canvas that's very, very connected, right? But really, I'm going to grab a little more of the darker blue here. Sometimes what we have to do is uncouple from, just added some wiggles. This is from my darker phthalo blue, phthalo green, right? So I am adding these colors down here. They are present. Maybe I'll take a little of that blue there. And it's easier to paint my shark back over some of this stuff than it might be to paint away the background.
Now, this is a very exciting underwater background.
Yeah, this is supposed to be like the water's churning, and it's sort of an abstraction of that moment.
And you could use this, you know, if you want to put your goldfish in front of it too.
Yeah, you could do this background with a goldfish. It'd be really cute and funny.
Action goldfish.
Action goldfish would be very, very funny. All right, let's dry everything there. And we'll come back and add a little more layering.
All right. More layers to the power goldfish background. Dun dun dun. Actually, that could be actual realistic goldfish background because you'd like see the TV behind it, which would have all those clinky colors. But I guess in the ocean, if you were, those would be the colors you would see if you saw that shark coming at you. I know it would be if I did. But you know, if you want to have the resources to paint this shark yourself, and I promise that they are available to you, they're on our website, theartsherpa.com. There's traceable tabs if you want just the traceable reference. If you click on the calendar, it will bring you to, I think, the calendar, which will have a link to all of the videos, and the videos will bring you project pages. Project pages will take you to all the reference materials that you need.
And we have a new tech system coming up.
There's new stuff.
So if you guys are already in the tech system, you'll probably get a notification that we are migrating. So that is officially us. I'm just telling you guys that now. In the world that we live in, it's good to know what's real and not real. Well, so that's really us.
We're consulting with a bear about the problem, and we're going to see how it goes.
What's a bear?
There's a tech bear who's going to refer some help.
Oh, okay, the tech bear.
And we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I thought they said we just migrate over. It doesn't matter.
There's a complicated series of things.
There's a complicated series of things. I'm going to come back into my 3/4 inch angle brush, and we're going to continue to paint this exciting abstracted background. I'm going to mix a little more yellow into my orange, making a slightly lighter yellow orange. And I'm going to come back here. That's maybe more than I wanted. And add some little paint back in. Now, here's the thing with this, right, guys, is that your abstracted background will not look exactly like my abstracted background. Just make some little lines. And that's okay. I'm going to add a little bit there. Maybe a little bit of white. I'm going to add a little dot there. A little bit of bright highlight down here. A little bit of bright highlight down there. I'm going to grab some much more white, but it has a little bit of the blue kind of in it. And I use the corner, see I pulled down on that corner and then I go wiggle, wiggle, and I pull that down.
The wiggle, wiggle is the most important part.
Pull on the corner, on the corner.
It's a corner wiggle.
Right.
On the tip of the fin, as it were.
So maybe action lines here. Maybe not as blue as I would want. I'm just pulling this in and just creating a little action. Yeah, I like that. Actually, I just really like that. Very, very, very much. Let's continue on. I don't want to change up. One of the big things is just making sure that we've got a good... I'm going to get a little of my purple, magenta, cad, and white and make kind of this interesting color here. Grab a little bit of my ultramarine blue. Work it back in there. So it's just playing, 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 playing. Sometimes you paint out areas that you had in, you know, and that is okay. As you go, each layer. And I do try to drop things around. All right, let's try this.
All right.
I think we're doing pretty good.
You are doing pretty good.
Well, I hope you guys are doing pretty good. That's the one I want. I want you guys to be doing pretty darn good.
So, yeah, thank you guys. Down in the in the links down below, we try to keep a link to all of the things that you may want to have quick access to. We try to put those down there. Yeah, thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Don't forget to hit the buttons like the the subscribe, all the little human-y buttons. You're gonna go click, 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 and it'll make everybody have a clickier, happier day. It makes our algorithm happy. It makes us happy. It makes you happy. Try it by clicking the thumbs up and like.
I like it when people do that. I do. I do.
It even makes you
all right.
as the
I'm going to grab a number 4 Simply Simmons round. And I'm going to begin by taking a little of my ultramarine blue, which is right here, and a little bit of my burnt sienna, and I'm going to mix them together and make gray. And I'm going to brush this. Right up here in the center kind of this. I may come back into my black and just make sure that I've got this sketched. How I want. I'm wiggling my little brush here. And his little fin is sort of jagged. It's been a rough hunting season. The seals have fought back, as seals will sometimes do. Grabbing a little white in here.
Yeah.
I may even switch to a bigger brush to paint in the larger body of the shark. I will keep a little bit of where I think my eyeballs will be. Again, I'm just wanting to loosely paint what I have on here, right? Just getting that first layer of the paint on. And I may want to make that area bigger, right? Like, I don't know. I might want to make it bigger. So by painting up a little bit, that gives me that room. Make a very dark blue-gray. I'm going to tatter my little fin there. Taking a darker blue-gray. And that's just more of the ultramarine blue and burnt sienna in. And you can see I'm just brushing this brush back and forth. And where this paint is wet and this paint is wet, they'll blend together. I know I'm going to have some burgundy up here, but I just want to get some. A little gray up there.
That's a nice comment.
What's a nice comment?
Cynthia says, Cinnamon, you are a big part of the reason I started appreciating color instead of fearing it. Thank you.
I'm so glad. It is fun. It can feel overwhelming at first, but color be fun.
It is.
I'm going to do a dark blue-gray right here. Definitely kind of taper that fin so it's got a little bit of extra. And then we'll add some white into the mix. I might even just kind of come along that little edge and show that little tearing effect. Alrighty. Then I'm going to take a little of my black and my phthalo blue. So this is my Mars black and my phthalo blue. Phthalo blue is the lowest one, ultramarine is the next one up. I'm going to come inside this and start painting the inside of the mouth above the tongue. And take the dark down because while we do want this sort of area to show, I probably cartooned it a little bit too much there. And I grab a little bit of my docs in my red. And I'll just come here. Just imply that in a loose little way. I'm just painting it loosely. And then what you're going to see me do is I'll make some brush strokes up into the mouth. So you can barely see that color, but you will be able to see it. And it will be enough to make you go, oh! And then lastly, but certainly not leastly, of the messy, messy, hot mess underpainting. Bless your mess, right? Will be the beginning of that eye. And come get maybe a little more blue and white. Blend that into that fin more when we get there. Okay, well, he's a hot mess right now, which is fabulous. That means we're right on track. And we're going to dry everything. Come back, I'll show you what you do next.
All right. Man, this is a very sharky shark. You know, without the teeth, he just looks silly. He's just like he's go blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I guess that's still sillier. But anyway, so this is awesome. Thank you guys for coming and being part of our little sharky day. I like this one. This is more action and excitement. It has, I don't know, it feels it harkens back to my comic book, I think. I was just saying, this reminds me of comic booky kind of stuff. I like that.
Oh yeah, it's super
action.
dynamic.
Yeah.
It's a very dynamic little piece. All right, so I'm going to take my number 6.
Hold on just a second.
Raphael Sepia. My number 6. Likes it so much. And I'm going to work some of the top part of my mouth. Now, I don't mind if some of this yellow gets on there. I don't mind if any particular color were to get on here. Because it's such a colorful painting. So if you do, this is one of the great paintings for the messy palette painters. Because if a little color picks up somewhere, you can be like, oh, that's all good. I'm going to come down maybe a little bit from the nose here.
This is a good thing. So,
I am it. Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, what is it?
No, sorry.
I lost my thought anyways.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So sorry.
No. You're just shading away there.
I'm just shading away is what happened.
Doing highlights is what you're doing. Highlights and shading.
I'm highlighting and shading, but I lost my thought of where I was going. So let me stop and reset, and you ask the question, and then I will get back to that.
I'm sorry.
No, it's totally okay.
So I was reading the chat, and it kept coming up. So Deanna, and Pam were both having questions, and I know it's something that you can address.
Okay.
So they're having a hard time getting smooth lines on the eye ovals and making them round. Is there a trick, or they can't keep them symmetrical? They're having some trouble. Do you have any suggestions on getting those eyes to be even?
Well, it depends on the reason they're uneven. What I would say is it's okay. Let me think of some tips that I can give right now. 1, have a good point to your brush. 2, have a good flow to your paint. 3, you can use a T-square ruler and make sure that things line up and are the same size. So, if you want to use your ruler, and we've covered this, guys. Remember on the how to draw the other eye. If the mods can find it, you just fast forward to the part where we draw the other eye, and we do it on a human eye. Right? But see this here? I eyeballed that in, but that's what my brain is doing. Is it's lining those eyes up. But if my brain isn't doing that for me, I can use my T-square to come help me line up. Help me find my spot. Good point on the brush.
And you also said start on your weak side when you're painting.
Yeah. You want to start. So this is almost a subclass, but what you want to do is you do want to start on your weak side when you're painting. And man, I don't know why this stun locked me. I think it was so out of what I was doing.
I think that's what happened, and I'm sorry.
No, it's
guys,
okay.
This is where
because you're always I don't want to interrupt because then you get lost in it. But I'm like, no, you got to, because that's what keeps it from being just a mindless, drolling, dragging on thing.
And part of it is my brain goes, ADHD. Guess what? You got to answer this question because 2 people asked it right in a row.
Yeah.
So, guys, guess what? This is live. This is we don't rehearse this. You get all of this right now. Right from the hip.
The reality of it. Yeah, no, I do this live. I don't record it and then re-record it and then re-record it and edit out all the flubs. They happen in real time. There's no edit button for this. So, yeah, that's basically what I'd say. Yeah, that's a good tip, too, is start on your weak side first.
Yeah.
So we should just do a tip video on how to do eyes.
We'll just call it a step.
Yeah.
It was the shark eye in the middle.
Yeah, let's just start over again.
Start here on the next step.
I don't know, man. I'm lost in the painting now. Okay, so
next step.
I don't know.
Paint the nose.
All right, so I'm going to come back in, and I've got my burnt sienna and my ultramarine blue. Burnt sienna and my ultramarine blue, and I'm going to make a dark gray again. I'm going to just start something somewhere else.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm going to go a little bit more blue down here. And I'm going to start with angled, kind of curving brush strokes. Brush the belly where you want to be able to see the brush strokes. You do. And I'll just brush that down. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of my white and maybe some phthalo blue. Instead of ultramarine blue, I'll grab some white and phthalo blue. And brush that down in. Brush that down in. I'm going to take a little bit. No, John's like, I'm not saying nothing.
Well, no.
Nothing to distract you.
I'm going to let you get your flow back, and then I'll try to.
Okay, yeah, I got to get my flow back. Yeah. That was wild.
Sorry. No, it's like, and it happens.
I don't usually lose my flow. No. Usually it doesn't throw me at all. I just go. But that one, I'm deep in, because this one is normally like we would do artist knife, and I have to think a lot of techniques around things. That is why. Yeah. I'm going to grab a little bit of my white and blue here. Kind of white and phthalo blue. And be brushing this back around. We're going to just keep paying attention to the roundness of that tummy.
That's why the brush strokes are curved?
That's why the brush strokes are curved. That is why the brush strokes are curved.
See, I can ask helpful questions.
I
can ask helpful questions.
You can.
Not always, but sometimes.
Always. I'm kind of raising up this little white area that's going to be on the mouth, maybe a little bit more exaggerated. And I will bring this down, a white sort of down on the lip, curving around towards the right. So we're just doing that there. I'm going to grab a bit of my blue. I'm bringing this around here. A little more white. John's like, interrupting never again.
No, I was actually just over here looking at the chat.
You shouldn't look at that chat. I think that chat is confusing.
So, yeah.
I'm bringing a little light color over here. Get a little bit of the blue maybe down here. All right, let's call this a step. I think I'm starting to find my way back into the shark. He still looks like a hot mess, but he's looking more like himself. Let's try that and come back. Then you can ask me a question, and then I'll start painting.
So you guys, if you have questions, please put them in caps, and I can that way I can catch them, and we'll try to ask them as they come through. If you want to go to our website, you can sign up for our newsletter there by joining. You just join the website. You just sign up, and you'll join it. You'll be part of the newsletter. But we've got a new sign up method coming like in days, where you'll be able to go to the website and then sign up, and it'll make it much easier. So technology is happening. I promise. Ready for step 8?
Yes, but ask me a question before we start the step, maybe.
Ask you a question.
What question do you have? So we don't do in the middle of teaching steps questions. We do.
Well, probably, I guess the most recent question is, how do you design some of these? Are these digitally designed? How do you come up with these?
Sometimes I have. All right, so I watch TV, as you guys know, and I have insomnia. Sometimes I'm on my iPad. Sometimes I'm in a sketchbook.
Shark sketching late at night.
No, John's seen this. Sometimes I have like a little watercolor sketchbook, and I'm doing little color studies. Sometimes I'm up there
there's gnomes,
writing. I'm writing ideas down. Sometimes I have a notebook by where I sit, where I write down ideas. And then I also have my iPad, and if I'm up for it, my eyes aren't tired, I will sometimes get into my iPad and work out some ideas as well. So all of those things, but it generally starts with a list of ideas, and then things will catch and hang with me. And then I'll look for reference photos that maybe already fit that idea. And then if I'm not going to find those, then I'm going to like maybe like collage some stuff together to create it. I've done that before. And then if that doesn't work, then I might doodle out something in a watercolor sketchbook. And if I kind of like 2 or 3 things, then I might digitally work it out. I may also just come down with an idea, sit down, nothing prepped, and sit and just paint something out.
That's actually how you do a lot of them.
I do a lot of that as well. So any of those things could be afoot at any given minute. And it just really depends on what my week looks like. But what is true is I'm always, and by the way, so is Honey and Luna and Spider. This is what's so weird is how this is spread to my children.
Mm-hmm.
The number of sketchbooks around this house that have just ideas, works in progress, notes, and things like Luna's like Hand Quest.
Yes.
And the difference, it's just crazy how it catches. All right, let's continue on
to the next step.
So I'm going to take a little bit of dioxazine purple and quinacridone magenta and cad red together. This is sort of the mix that I'm going to use to get this wonderful burgundiness. And I'm still going to use my number 6 sepia round, which I want to get some more of these. And I'll start this one here, and this is going to be a bit at an angle where there's a bit of a sliver of light there. That one is sort of important because that'll turn the fin. Some of these things are not that important. I'll get a little more diox there. And some of them are hypercritical. And I'll let you know where it's like, it doesn't matter that much. Or, oh, no, you got to get that little sliver because that's going to turn the fin.
You know how I won't distract you?
And I've added purple into this to make it darker. I don't know how you won't distract me because you just distracted me there.
Okay.
No writing mean stuff about John or me.
I'm married.
We've been married 27 years. We're good.
So now that you're distracted, I'm gonna.
No, he's like we've been married so long. Like I can't tell you how many conversations we have that don't have all the words in them.
Agent of Chaos regularly gets used. I'm gonna go get coffee.
I'm not saying you're an agent of chaos. All right, Speaking of. Like making sure the eyes are nice. Like this is another place I can kind of trim up and clean up the eyes coming around with my back paint. And I'll try to pay attention specifically to some of those eye concerns as we're going. But right now I just want to get this burgundy-ish color down. Now you'll see me wiggling my brush, and that is because I'm wanting to do a rough paint. I want a rough paint, so I'm going to wiggle the brush so this is a rough, irregular line. And then this is a rough, irregular line. Oh, and if you're wanting to see some of my design process, I've started to, when I come down and just like work out an idea, I've started to photograph it in stages. So if you check the community tab or you follow my Facebook page and my Instagram, any of those, you will probably see work in progress photos for different ideas. Like I've got a frog prince that's coming up that I'm working out. I'm working on these weird bluebirds. I'm still like not 1,000% on them being a lesson, like, cause they are, I don't know. It hasn't dinged for me in my head yet. I'm still taking this Dox purple, cad red medium, quinacridone magenta up the nose, but notice that it's tapering into the nose a bit. And then I'm going to come here, and then this is just going to be a very thin hint of it. Hint, hint, hinty, hint, 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 but it will come around the eye here. By the way, there wasn't anything wrong with that question that threw me. It's just sometimes you're so deep into something and then it needs a different, your brain has to go, I need to go to a different segment to retrieve that information, and your whole body just goes, I don't know what we're doing until then. So, but I love the questions. Keep asking them. I don't mind John interrupting me. We've been, again, married a really, really, really long time. And so it just doesn't hit like that same for me. I'm going to bring this around. I think I kind of overpainted in my white, so I want to bring that around to kind of connect him just a little bit more. And I think I will go ahead and paint a little bit of my white gray in there just to make sure that I've got something kind of filling that out. Yeah, I need John to heat my coffee. And I'm going to bring some of this down and make little brush strokes there, sort of implying the belly coming around. Can you heat my coffee, babe? I'm so sorry. I was like, that's so silly of me.
Fine.
So silly of me.
Fine.
Now, I know the sharks, like, the people who love sharks, like, love sharks. Like, I love sharks. I don't want to swim with them. I don't want to have an encounter. I definitely want them to be in their wild habitat, which is protected, and I'm not in their wild habitat where I could be mistaken for a snack. Because I think if a shark saw me, it might be like, that's a very pale seal. That could be a very tasty seal, and like want to have a bite, and then I would be all super upset about that because I really don't want to be eaten by anything alive. That's like that's still a possibility in our modern society. It just blows my mind. Just fathom for a second with me that we live in a time where we can send video streaming to you wherever you're living, whatever country you're in. People watch me in Senegal. Wherever you are, right? All over the world, time zone, whatever. We're all sitting here watching this video. It's streaming. This much technology. They've mapped proteins. There's AI. Like, this world is just crazy, right? And then in the middle of all of this, you could also still be eaten at the beach. Like that's a Jurassic World problem, right? That's a Cretaceous period problem. I could be eaten. That's 100,000 years ago before we wiped out indigenous species left and right. You know what I mean? Like, that we're modern people and we can still be eaten alive kind of blows my mind. I feel like that's an appropriate topic for Halloween. And you know how those things are going. Cinnamon, do you have certain clothes you are for painting? Because I can't get paint on everything. All right. This is Nana Bates. I think I said that right. Nana Bates. And if I didn't, I'm super sorry. But it's Ret Gem Nana Bates asks, Cinnamon, do you have certain clothes you wear for painting? Because I can't get paint on everything. No, I just paint in everything. And I don't actually get paint on my clothes that often. I grew up in a working artist studio. I think I must have some sort of weird ingrained secret set of skills, but except that at my mom's house, every time my mom paints, there's paint in her hair, there's paint on her glasses, there's paint all down her pants. She gets so much paint on her clothes that she just paints on them again to make it look like on purpose. So then they're just all art. She paints her luggage. There's dings of paint on the ceiling, and they don't have low ceilings. Like, there's dings of paint in my mom's world where I'm like, factually, I don't know how it got there. Right. But then my mom's a person who's like, where's my glass? And there's 6 pairs on her head. Which, in all fairness, I can do too. Can you step me, or I don't know?
I can step you if you're ready for a step.
I didn't start painting again from the time. 9. All right. So I'm going to come here and add a little more cad red to that mixture. A little more cad red. So it's not cad red. It's just cad red in that mixture. So it's going to be a brighter red than what you have, as you can see, but not bright like cad. I'm going to tap this brush up and down. See this tapping motion that lets some of the paint from underneath stick through? That's how we're going to get this. Tapping up and down. Wiggle that brush around. Not that much back there. Definitely more up here. But I'm letting some of that first layer show through, and see how that creates depth? That's how we get depth when we're painting like rough or interesting things. I'm going to just bring this red around here, just a titch. And then maybe, just a little bit here. I can always come back into my purple, and I don't even rinse out my brush, right? And blend things back in. Look at that. So it just looks much more thoughtful in the painting. Little dark there. I'll put little darks all kinds of places, because it just keeps it sort of interesting. I can get a little bit of my red and purple here and make sure that I paint this backside again with that darker. That's not looking terrible. I'm not unhappy with that. Now I have all these colors, and now if I get white involved in it, I'm going to put a little bit of white there, and then I can So I'm adding a little bit of that color into it. And that creates that sense of, I'm going to get a little bit of that dark gray blue here. And I'm wiggling that over. I'm going to get a little bit of my blue on my brush. And then I'll wiggle it in as well. Sometimes I just get some like dark. I use purple in place of black sometimes just because it's chromatically, in other words, its value and its look will look and read to the mind like it's black, but really it's not. All right, so I've got a little bit of my mix here and some of my Doc's purple. I'm going to stroke inside the mouth, right? Just right inside that mouth. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Don't know. And then maybe like right inside this mouth here. And then I'm going to come underneath here and add a little bit of a stroke. I'm going to come along there. Maybe bring it here. And then I'm going to get some white. Yellow, white. I don't care if some yellow gets in it. That'd be good even. Kind of just painting that back in. Can you guys see how I'm painting that back in? And then I might come here and be like, oh, let's put some little yellow and get some white going. Come there with a little bit of rough brush stroke. A little bit there. These are like little scratches. They're a little bit on that outside edge. I think I might thin that a bit. So now we're just painting loosely. But let's grab some phthalo. Some phthalo and just, instead of, making a, necessarily a shadow, you just wiggle out a little touch of color. Add a little white to my red. I'm going to come here on my gums and add it there. That's not terrible. And get a little bit of my quinacridone and cad red, and I'm just going to come here inside the mouth. And just wiggle a little bit of tasty tongue here. He's like, oh, it's tasty. The tasty. Maybe a little more cad red. Just to add some drama. It's tasty water, though. Yeah. And that's what he's excited about. I'm going to add some little wiggles of tasty water inside his mouth. See, I'm just dancing the brush on inside. Now, if I feel like I got a little too overdone with the cut, I can just come back and paint that back out. See, so don't feel like you're stuck with any lines that you think are too thick. Because look what you can do. You can come back and thin them out, and they're still good scratches. They're still good. Maybe a little light in there, right? Just a little light. Oh. Wiggle it that way. That looks pretty good. You're like, I'm not asking any more questions today.
No, it's not at all. I was actually sipping my coffee is what I was
You're
doing.
like, now I'm not, now I'm calmed down and I don't have nothing more to ask. I've made a dark gray. I'm going to kind of bring it into
why now I have
thin.
coffee to sip.
Now you have coffee to sip. So why even bother, right? And we'll bring that here. And then I can just go right into my white. Well, it's all still wet. And notice that it blends sort of on the surface.
Yeah.
Take a little turquoise and put it right there. Maybe a little more of that than I have. And this is sort of a blue, and it's going to kind of come at an angle this way, but be brought out there. I'm going to go ahead and see. I just kept my white, but I don't mind that it's messy. And I'm painting out the hard lines of that, but you can see that there's little bits of that peeking through. A little bit, another little brush stroke right there. Now I'm going to take a little bit of that. No, maybe a little orange. There we go. I'm just not rinsing it out. I'm just... See how we just put a little color there?
Yep.
Let's dry everything and come back and paint a little more. And that way it's just stuff isn't just wet and impacting us in a negative way.
Yeah. So, thank you, Patty. Have we made it to our awesome new adventure? We are still mid-adventure, is what I would say. We have a stopping ground, and we have a lot of new news on our adventure updates. But that's not now. It's not a good.
It's not there. Okay.
Well, we're not. Oh, I was talking.
Take a deep breath. Oh.
We'll talk about it later, guys.
What is you talking about later?
Nothing distracting. You ready
Nothing
for your next
distracting.
Step? You ready for your
You're
next
just
step?
not going to distract me no
Nope.
matter what?
Nope.
Never going to be accused of that in a million years? Is that what we got going on here now?
I was eaten by a shark at the time.
Please. Distract me. How will they know it's live? So I'm using a #1 detail liner. And what you see me doing here is making sure there are not little drops of water about to come and impact me. And I'm going to just very carefully paint this around the outside edge. Just bringing this around, just starting to think about what these little eyes are going to be. And actually, I think I'm going to put out fluid white for my teeth because, guys, otherwise I'm going to be miserable. Fluid white, what is this? This is golden fluid acrylic titanium white. So it's just like the titanium white that squeezes out of your tube, but there's more pigment in it and it's in a thinner body. In other words, it brushes out a little easier. Remember how I said, like, for getting the other eye, sometimes thinning the paint helps? Well, this helps a lot too. Look at the difference. This is why I bother. Yeah, I can thin out my white paint. But this is just more pigmented in that long run. Now I think I don't want these to be perfectly white.
No.
Even as I paint them, so I'm going to get them into the gray a little bit. And I'm going to just give myself one here.
Too much there. Get back over there.
Just a pointed little tooth shape. And then another pointed little tooth shape. I think I want to... Now, something I can do if I'm like, ooh, I don't like how that went, is I can come back with a little black. See how I was able to fix my little teeths there? I'm going to go ahead and take a little black too, coming up this little line. And around and down. That contrast will make a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to come back here, and I know I'm going to want to give myself some smaller, grayer, little tiny... So basically on the teeth, what I want them to be around the same size up front. They've got to have spacing in the gums, you know. And I may have to come back and paint it black to get it as sharp as I want it. I'm doing it in a gray, and then I'll come back and tip these with a little bit of highlight. Now, as they come around the side, they're going to diminish. Get closer together. And that is just about the perspective of teeth. Teeth in perspective. And we'll just paint along with it, you know? What's funny?
Bye-bye, the buck-eyed tooth shark.
He had a moment. Right now he's got a thing going on with his eyes, and he's got a thing going on with his teeth, and that's okay. So when you take like comic style illustration kind of concepts, and then you merge them with abstract painting concepts, and we did a lot of this, if you think about it, in our abstract acrylic this year, is we merged traditional paintings with non-traditional paintings. And this is sort of what you can get. This is a type of pop art. This is a fun way to experiment with creating style or originality, is you take something that is very traditional and you mash it up with something that's not traditional. And you can do that in topics like, you know, the subjects that we choose to paint. You can stand out by painting subjects that other artists haven't thought to paint. You can choose to stand out by, when you start working on your original stuff, by like, I think I'm going to make that one a little bit smaller so that fits in there. So that when you are, you know, trying to find your own way, you are also standing on the shoulders of people who sort of paved that way for you. When you combine like two things, because you can look at the aesthetics and the rules for those aesthetics, the design rules, the way that something is painted, and then not have to create that whole segment up again from scratch. And then also people feel like they're seeing something very new.
I like this little sharky guy.
That's when comic books win Pulitzers. Is when the artists do that. Or I see a lot of artists try to do stuff similar, you know, in traditional art tracks. Just trying to make sure that, my teeth are vanishing. If you notice, they get smaller as they go away, and less of them are showing. So that's how I'm creating that row of teeth. I'm just not making this is that step up from just going zig, 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 zig.
Right.
There's some stuff there.
There's some.
Now, what you guys should know I'm doing in my life right now, if you guys want to know what I'm doing in my life. Do y'all want to know what I'm doing in my life?
They do.
I am right now organizing everything I own and repacking it, not to move, not to do anything like that, but so that we can build more sets, because I really, really, really want to start a kids show.
Oh. Really?
Really, really. Really, really, really. So that is, you guys are going to be doing paintings like this way that we're doing it right now through 13. Like, come on, y'all aren't that sad about how it's currently going, right?
No.
3 paintings a week for you guys. It's good. It's good times, plus a daily short. But in that, while you guys are doing that, know that right now you are helping me. And by the way, I want to thank all the patrons, because we're only even able to do this for all the patrons that hung in with us, through all this stuff. We're going to be able to do that. I'm very excited.
Okay.
Do you have anything you want to add to that as I awkwardly talk and
No, I think
pointy teeth? Once those little pointy teeth are in, we're going to come back with a much lighter gray. It's not
gray?
pure white, but it's a much lighter gray, and those are going to be the 2 tones of our teeth while we're talking about it.
Okay. Teeth toning.
I'm toning the teeth. They're so long, it takes so long to make them, that really, guys, what it is that the paint has dried by the time I get there. Notice that I also highlight the points, not the whole tooth. Highlighting the points, not the whole tooth.
Oh, Pam points out that you're supposed to boop the snout. If you get into this trouble, if you're ever in this view, you just gotta, like a boop on the snout, and then I guess they'll leave. But I can't remember to turn off the lights when I leave a room, so I don't know how I'm gonna remember that. When
Don't forget to boop the shark. That's Pam's advice. Everyone, if you're in the water and you see a shark, a great white megalodon, doesn't really matter, coming at you, boop that snout and go like this, go boop.
I bet you he'll just swim right away.
Actually, it would probably totally work. She means like really pop them on the nose proper. That's what surfers do, is they pop them on the nose proper. But I would love to see someone go boop. You got booped. I know it surprises cobras. When people boop the snoop on a cobra, the cobra's like,
What?
I don't think you understand how this works. I am poisonous. You are afraid. This is the deal.
Their brains can't process sarcasm.
No. Did you see the monkeys in Senegal that are now inside of caves?
Yes.
They walk upright more than any other monkey community on the planet. They're living in the hottest region that any monkey species, chimpanzee species lives. And they are the only chimpanzee species to use cave systems to cool down.
I was in the room with you when we watched it together.
Oh, well, you're asleep half the time when you're in the room with me, so I no longer assume you know what I'm talking about.
That's true.
Now I got them pointing teeth. He's looking a little... That's okay.
I could get you.
All right, let's continue on. We're pretty close.
Okay, you ready for another step then?
We're ready for another step. We got some stuff happening. We got to get in there and paint them up, but we're doing pretty good, I think. Honey Cooney's like, I've seen scuba divers boop the snoot underwater and guide them away. All right,
I think
here we go.
I think those guys are.
I'm going to go ahead and get a little more white onto this mix. I let the paint that's on my palette kind of come here, and I'm going to just make sure that I am blending some of this out, as you do. And I'm also coming back and just being, playful, cheeky. I'm going to come here and definitely, I want to hit with just some highlighting, 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 highlighting. Grab some more white. Now I'll get into my blue here. Kind of tap that out. Thinking about it. I'll put my little dark line in. I want to just make sure that I've got that cute boop in the snoop. Little light color here, maybe even lighter. Little blue and gray. Kind of coming around. Adding a little bit of a highlight there. I picked up a little purple, but it's okay. We don't mind. I'm going to grab a little bit of purple again. Adding a little bit there. Adding a little bit there. Kind of muted it down a little bit. You see I went back over it, and that does help it bring some here. And let's pick up some color. Now coming down, I'm going to just brush this a little bit lightly, and then I'm going to go right into my purple. I'm just making sure that I've got maybe a little bit of this. Let's add some phthalo blue to the purple. That gets us closer into a chromatic black without making us go into chromatic black. I'm going to come here into my gray. That's my burnt sienna and my ultramarine blue, but I didn't rinse my brush out. Go ahead and brush that a little bit, that little bit of shadow. A little bit there too, because that's just really nice. Darken that fin going off there, right? If I've got to, I can grab a little black in here. Darken it some more. And rinse out very thoroughly. And I still want to try to grab a little yellow. It's got a little red in it, that's okay, but I do want it to be yellow. I'm going to add a little bit of that there. A little bit there, because it's just, sometimes it's nice to have colors be present a few places. Adding a little bit there. Get a little burgundy. You would just touch it a bit. Just kind of making sure that that's a little blended out. So it's there, but it's not all that we see there. You're so like quiet. You're like,
I like the shark.
I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of my burgundy, cad red, my quinacridone, which is my quinacridone and cad red, maybe even a little of my Doc's purple, right? So it's kind of an interesting little color. Come in here to kind of add this to the shadow. All right.
This guy.
Now, he's pretty good. I'm going to take him and maybe take a little of my phthalo blue and Doc's purple. and a smidge of white, kind of. I go into my black. I'm just making sure the inside of my mouth is done and painterly and as considered as. I don't know why I decided to do that there, but I did.
It's very
just wanted a shadow, and so I put it in. And that'll happen to me sometimes where I'm like, I'll see something and I'll be like, man, you know what we need here? We need a shadow, or we need
shadow. Yep.
A little line there.
I like him.
Now let's dry everything and we'll do the last little touches.
Okay. Last little touches. So make sure you thoroughly dry. Yep, he's really coming together. I like him. He's hold on a second. I'm gonna cough for a second. Can't inhale your coffee as I was. Hold on a second here. Sorry, I almost inhaled my coffee. So
it's okay.
I'll give you a new step before we go.
That's okay. Give me a new step. So I'm going to take a little bit of my gray color again, which is my ultramarine blue and my burnt sienna. Just make sure I have a dark fin color. And then I just want to make sure that my fin down here isn't purple, per se. And I'm going to kind of highlight some of that. Just want it a little bit less. And I'm going to just blend that in there. I just want a dark value of that. Now I am going to add a little bit of my white. Oh, I'm going to exaggerate that this time. I'm going to put a little boopy there. And these are just, this is just pure white. I'm just using my number 4 round and I'm just creating an irregular bit of highlight where there needs to be one. Let's do little kind of like sketching scratches inside the mouth. That's just kind of energetic. I can do these with either an artist knife or a brush.
Those are action lines.
They're action lines. They are actually action lines. It's just crazy. Now I'm going to put an action line down my fin. And because it's such a long line, I'll have more trouble like getting that line perfect. So what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of my blue with black. Just touch a little white along that there. See, that gives it just enough highlight for it to register as the... I'll erase that there with some purple. Okay. Alrighty. And then let's get our detail brush out. I'm going to go ahead and grab a little black. Now, at the top of the eye, the white should thin, and then as you come down and you bring it through the open, it'll be a little whiter. So it'll be whiter and then curve up. Okay, so now we've got that eye set. And I did my left eye first because that's the eye that's hardest for me to have control over. So that's why I do my left eye first, is because I have more control over my right hand on the right side of the surface. I can come and just sort of hair this forward a little bit, and I mean like by the hair. Sometimes I'll offload paint onto my hand. All right, so by using it light like that, then I can come in and thin it. So that's when where it's really difficult for me to have control over my brush stroke. Generally this sort of game where I come in and I use painting away some of what we have. These are action lines. They're just helping me create the sense of energy and a little bit over the top there, but I just want him to have kind of a dinged up nose. I want there to be a sense that he's got boo-boos. And okay, but I'm overdoing. It's been known to happen. I actually like it quite a lot. And then I'm going to come in here and probably do a little bit of this. I'll use the yellow and white. Now, this weekend, we are going to be together for a minute. It is a big paint. It is a 3 hoot. I will be explaining every technique if you've ever wanted to see how that gets accomplished or how you would do that. It's going to be deep into doing more techniques in acrylic that resemble either oil or digital art somewhat. And so we're going to be using zinc white. We're going to be using blending medium. We're going to be using fluid titanium white, and of course, brushes that are good for blending and soft techniques. Oh, this is super fun. He came out super cute. Super duper
really,
cute.
really
I actually
good.
I like this quite a lot. This
Yeah.
is so if you like shark paintings, my friends.
Yes.
If you like shark paintings and to watch me get stun locked because I don't know, some question was like,
I don't even know what I asked you.
I think you asked me how to make the eyes even.
Oh, that's right. It was about how to do even strokes because they were having trouble making the strokes even on the roundness of the eyes.
Well, that's a completely different question that I didn't answer.
It's okay. You did actually answer the question quite well, I think. As you
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
good. I try to answer all the questions
No,
every life.
You did really
So there are 7 other really hysterical. There's Sharky Night. There's Sharknado. There's Bite of the Great White. There's a project for kids. There is just every kind of shark. There's a tropical shark scene. There's a realistic shark scene. There's like every kind of shark scene. And now we have this, and he kind of is a bridge between Sharky Night and the kid shark there, so that you could add that to your collection if you wanted to.
And the Sharknado.
Yeah, I might glaze his like inside his mouth a little more purple, but I think actually I'm pretty happy with where he's at. This is pretty fun for me. I'm digging his little self. All right, you guys, I want you to be good to yourselves. Remember, everything you saw here is in the store.
Yeah.
Be good to each other.
What was that?
Everything on the show is in our store.
Oh, that's right. It is. So that is we should take a moment to do plug because
right,
that's how we keep the lights on, guys.
You should subscribe.
You should.
Here's the things that we should do. I feel like if you love us, you'll subscribe anyways. But you should subscribe if you like free art content like this because we do this 3 times a week.
Yep.
and more stuff is coming.
Yep.
We have an art store where you can buy the materials that you see in today's show from us directly if you want. You can also, like, I don't care if you price compare against other websites or any of that. If you're in Canada or out of the United States, unfortunately we don't ship there yet. But King's Framing and Art is great. Jackson's is great. So there are art stores that are great, and I certainly think there are tons of art stores out there that are great. But if you wanted to, I tend to carry the stuff that I use, so, and I know we're sold out a lot of places. It's a good place to check.
Yeah, we've done our best to try to build an honest store where you guys can get good product from the manufacturers, not knockoff stuff, not sideways imported stuff. We work with all of them, and we really do support
the art
them.
alternatives canvases are there. You can get the classic cotton or the economy there.
So we dig this.
Micador, I have everything that's Micador. If you have kids in your life that do art,
we got cool stuff coming in there.
I have 2 kids art companies that I love, and I got the first one. Hope to get the second one, but the first one was Micador, and we have all the Micador stuff. So if you have little ones in your life, from babies on, like this company does products for babies to be creative, and they're amazing and thoughtful and super safe, and you can just let the kids just go to town with the supplies, and they can learn some science. They're almost STEAM. I'm going to be doing some projects with them soon. I'm very excited about that.
I just want to make sure we get a little plug in there because we got to keep our lights on too.
Yeah, that's true. So you can patron us.
You patron us.
You get to name these paintings, and you get to see things early, and you get behind the scenes, and you can also shop at our store. That's a good thing. I think we found out, all the people that steal my art for merch on Amazon, I think I just found the way they're doing it. So I think I might make my own merch. So maybe I'll have a skateboard deck soon.
Yeah.
That will actually help me protect my stuff on the Amazon platform where I check that out. It was weird. So you don't know. What we do know is it's a new week. We are always up to something. It is always interesting over here. The next painting is going to be the one you want to do. If you've been trying to do reflective lake water, realistic lake water, any of that, I want you to do that. And I think you're going to be surprised at how that goes in. And I'm just loving this year's 13 Days of Halloween. And thank you for everything. So I'll try again. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I'll see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.